It's business tip time. Whether it's marketing, sales, operations, etc., I'm bringing you quick tips across a variety of topics to help elevate your business. Let's get it. Hello, friends. We are back with Kevin Wathey today. I had the pleasure of interviewing him yesterday. He's the CEO of Synchronicity and has a great business tip for us today. It is how to get more profitability out of your business Facebook groups and how to systemize and automate your business to free up that time and have a more authentic connection with your customers. So with that, Kevin, thanks for coming back on. I'll let you take it away.
Absolutely. And thank you. The preface I want to say to this is that it really stems from your mindset or from your approach and how you approach business. So the vast majority of people, when you say, what kind of business do you have? They give you a binary, two options. They say, A, it's B2B. We're business to business and we work with big corporations because we're the shit. Or you have B2C, we're business to consumer, or business to client, business to customer, however you want to factor it based on your offer. But that's now removing an element from it that all business is. What is all business? All business is P2P, person to person. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're selling, business is P2P. So when you factor that in, we're going to talk about Facebook groups, but factor that in for anywhere. Factor that in for Instagram, factor that in for LinkedIn, Twitter, Clubhouse, TikTok, whatever it ends up doing, ever ends up being. When you focus on the person, you now speak directly to them. Your copy now focuses on their specific benefit. You are able to structure everything that you do and say to revolve around that individual. And the people who do this well are the ones where you get stopped in your scroll and you go, shit, they're talking right to me. Let's click that. That's where it pulls into. Now you can add a couple of things onto it to get the scroll stopping power. But what you need to do, this is focusing more on a copywriting standpoint and that P2P connection. So what are Facebook groups? And Facebook groups are kind of like the new wave of things. And if you read Facebook's kind of marketing memo or where they're going with R&D and things like that, we're on the beginning side or the entry level side of what's going to be probably 2 to 3 years of them pushing Facebook groups as a way to monetize and use them for client acquisition. If you don't know what a Facebook group is, a Facebook page you might be familiar with, think of that as the storefront. That is the glass, that is the windows of your store, and you have mannequins in it, and it's showing you exactly what people are getting. Now, where can people purchase from you? Well, they need to get to the shelves. They need to walk inside the store. Where is that? Well, that's now a group, because what can people do in a group? You're now building a conscious community. They can interact with you. You can interact with them. You are now operating in a P2P setting. There's a difference because as a page, you're speaking at people. As a group, you're speaking and conversing with them. So how do we use Facebook groups strategically in order to monetize them in a way that allows us to kind of break through the noise, remove the skepticism, as well as take everything that you're doing and lead with a value first P2P approach? Well, that's the beauty of Facebook groups themselves. Facebook is the largest community building platform on the planet. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. There's like 3 billion monthly active users on Facebook. Name one other platform that actually has a group functionality that doesn't revolve around followers or an algorithm to guarantee or lack of guarantee generate you reach. There isn't one. There's nowhere else that you can create a community online. That's where Facebook group stands apart. So what do? If you have a group, what's the very first piece that someone has when they come in and they join your group? They request to join. So what do we do in order to start the conversation I call it like we're pressing the ignition switch on your own self-driving Tesla. How do we automate this process and start it in a way that propels you forward into a conversation? That's what we're trying to create. I call them conscious conversations. We're trying to create these with our ideal client. So you have 3 questions that you're able to ask when someone joins your Facebook group. First question, I'm always going to say is going to be a null question, because what you're doing, and if you've ever read Persuasion by Robert Cialdini, what you're trying to do is you're persuading them to get in the mindset in order to answer questions. That's it. So a very simple question for the very first one. Are you a demographic? Are you a X? Are you an online course creator? Are you a consultant? Yes or no? It's binary, super, super simple. Now, number two, if they're coming from a paid advertising approach, you would already have this. But if they're coming from a cold approach, which is a better term for organic, because true organic isn't what people say it is. True organic is SEO. True organic is people stumbling upon your website. Cold is you actually, Tom Cruise, risky business, sliding into the DMs. So the second question would be getting their email, because if we now have their email, we have, and we're working towards what I call a trifecta lead. You got their name, their email. If they came through a paid advertising approach, probably their phone number. But now the trifecta is their group. They're in the group. They're a group member. So now you can go email retargeting, you can call them, and you can message them, or they're in the group. You can nurture them through the group. So that's question number two. Question number three is that self-driving Tesla. That's the ignition switch. It revolves and says something along the lines of, this group is for X. We help X accomplish X. We help online course creators monetize Facebook groups. We help overweight women in their 30s lose 20 pounds. We help whatever it ends up being. You're going for then the benefit of what they're going to receive. The next statement, or the next question really, is the bread and butter. The next question is that you say, would you like us to private message you with how we do this, with how we reach, how we create this, how we help our clients with this? When they say yes, what is that? You now have intent to message them. Now they are raising their hand saying, hey, Kevin, can you give me more information on how I can do this? Can you give me more information on how I can solve this problem? So now rather than you trying to sell someone something, they're asking to buy something, or they're asking for a solution to their problem. So now we've just shifted the entire sales conversation from the get-go. Now you're not trying to convince them or sell them or take any of the old outdated tactics that don't revolve around human psychology and throw them out the window because you don't need them anymore. So now you enter into a conscious conversation where you are diagnosing what's going on. It's you're the doctor here. You hear that all the time in sales, but it's you actually want to step into that place. Like, can I actually help you? Anytime you get on a sales call, you actually, the way that you want to think about it is you don't want to sell them. Like, you want to flip it because, one, if you're trying to sell them something, you're then like giving too much. You're trying to get too much. But if you flip it and you say, I'm not going to sell you, you need to sell yourself to me if you want me to help you with anything. Now they're coming to you. You want what you can't have. You want the high school crush that liked the jock. Like, that's how this works. And that's how the sales environment works. So when you flip the script, and another fantastic book, Oren Klaff right there, Flip the Script. If you flip the script on that and you start the conversation out with a intent-focused approach, now you're getting them to raise their hand. Now what you do, and this is where the systemization aspect comes in, now you can have systems in place to then book them into a call with yourself or with your team. So the way, and if you're probably familiar with Zapier, if you're listening, a alternative, and I would say a better alternative, is Integromat. Integromat is more visual. You create actual visual flows rather than kind of structured one by one. I'm very visual, so it makes a lot of sense for me. But what you would then do is you can create an automation to automate all of the tedious tasks in your day, in your workflow, so that when they book a call, all of these things, Alessia knows this because she booked a call she's coming on my podcast, and she knows exactly how it works. When you book a call, it triggers all of these systems to go into place for you. The world business operates on systems. There's no way McDonald's becomes the largest fast food chain in the world with 16-year-olds running the show without systems. So when you focus on the systems, now all of these other things are in place. What happens? Your no-show rate for your calls decreases. Your cancellation rate decreases. Every single client gets the same experience, or every single prospect gets the same experience. Now they show up qualified because you have a thank you page from booking the call that answers 5 of the top questions that they have regarding what it is that you offer. Now what? You've just persuaded the entire conversation towards them asking to buy something from you. Now your closing rate goes up, or I would say not really about closing. It's more about providing value to someone. And that's a reframe on business we can get into. But when you do this and you do this properly, you're now removing all of these admin tasks where you would have to normally book them on your calendar, send them an email, confirm with them, follow up with them, send them a follow up, whatever it ends up being. Now that's all done automatically and sent directly into your CRM. So you just go into your CRM and you say, okay, cool, I got these calls today. These are already on my calendar. They're already confirmed. They're already qualified. They know exactly what to expect. Now you have freed up your time to focus on what matters most. And that's actually helping people, providing more of a transformation, providing a bigger impact. Because when you focus on the impact, which is what the goal of business is, impact is the goal of business. Income is a result of the amount of impact that you're able to offer to someone. Where you get into hot water is where you switch it and you focus on the income.
Oh, so many good nuggets in there. So I'm curious, you mentioned a couple systems, Integromat, which I use Zapier right now for a few things. And I would agree. I feel like being a visual person, I need to check this alternative out. So there's Integromat. What do you use for your CRM?
A company called Close.
Close. Okay. And then you use what for booking? Calendly or?
Correct. Calendly.
Any other systems that you love that have been easy to integrate and set up workflows for?
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to also say no, because what the goal is not complexity in any way, shape, or form. And complexity is the antithesis of scale, and complexity is the opposite of what you're actually trying to do. Yeah. I know plenty of people who have signed up for courses or coaches, and oh yeah, we're going to give you a done for you 160 piece funnel. And we're like, great. What happens when one piece breaks and I don't know how to operate the whole thing? Now you're back at square one. So the simplicity of Facebook groups is something that's rooted in human psychology, which is something that is never going to change until we as a species change. So now you're playing the strategy game rather than saying, hey, I'm going to go on the latest tactic game, because tactics are ever changing. Strategy, human psychology doesn't exist, doesn't change. And if you don't believe me, do you know when the first quote sales funnel was actually created?
No, probably back in medieval times or something.
Like 1898.
Oh, okay. Well, I was wrong. I was thinking of them like selling people on, things at the Agora or, the marketplace back in Greece or something.
Potentially the first like actual quantified or like labeled time of it was 1898, and the sales funnel was then kind of born then, and then grew into what it is today with now our like technologically advanced era. But what the vast majority of people, and if you're listening and if you're struggling in finding clients or client acquisition in the online space, what you need to do is you need to take a step back and see how you're approaching business. Are you approaching it from a B2B or B2C standpoint? Or is your sole goal actually generating conversations and just seeing if you're able to help people?
Yeah, good call out. Okay, final question. I know that you need to run in a couple minutes. We're recording this on October 5th. Yesterday was like a 6-hour Facebook and Instagram outage, and WhatsApp went down. I feel like most people were probably a lot more productive yesterday than on most days because of that. Does that change your opinion at all around using Facebook groups? Like, are there any alternatives, or you still think like grab the emails so you've got another way to connect with these people, but all in on groups still?
So you answered the question a little bit there. So like I had said before, you have a trifecta lead. So you have them in groups, but you have them in email, and you also have them in text message. I would say you never want to be all eggs in one basket. So if you're only advertising in one place, say Facebook, make sure that you check out Google Search, Google Display, YouTube, LinkedIn, depending on who your clientele is, so that you're not pigeonholing yourself. If one thing goes down, there you go. But because of the way you've structured it, sure, Facebook groups and the strategy can change. That's 100%. But the thing that won't change, the medium will change, I will say. But the strategy behind it, the interpersonal connection that we're going for, won't. and that will be there forever. So, I mean, we all say Facebook's a monolith. It's not going to go down until it does. There's not going to be a pandemic until there is. There's not going to be a second shutdown until there is. There's always not going to be something until it's proven correct. So I would say follow the approach, but more importantly, follow the underlying intention behind it, which is actually connecting with individuals. And if I get a daily marketing email that talked about the Facebook shutdown yesterday. Do you know why or what happened specifically?
I heard that it was Chinese sponsored hackers or something, but I have no idea if that was BS or not. I'll just reiterate and take this as 2 grains of salt, but this is what I had read from the email, was that they had gotten hacked and someone had put facebook.com, their domain, for sale on a DNS registrar. Oh my God.
So what happened was their website got taken down because people were trying to buy it. Guess who the first person to bid to buy facebook.com was?
Jeff Bezos.
No, but that would be hilarious. The founder of Twitter.
Jack Dorsey
was the first person to bid on it. And
Jack had a good day yesterday. People dusting off their Twitter.
So what happened then was apparently he then posted from Facebook on Twitter and said, I think this is supposed to be encrypted. What's going on? And then McDonald's replied back and said, what can I get you guys? And then other big name brands started to chime in on this massive Twitter.
Oh, I'll have to look at that. That's hilarious. But yeah, bad day for Zuck yesterday. Yeah. Bad day for Zuck. I kind of wonder how much revenue they lost. I heard a story yesterday of this person who had the last day of their course launch yesterday. They had 20 grand earmarked for Facebook ads. So they saved 20 grand, but I mean, you compound that. I wonder what that cost Facebook in revenue. It's kind of nuts. Not to go on a tangent, but anyway.
Insane. Yeah.
Well, this was so informative. Thank you so much. I love that you gave tactical takeaways that people can apply for their business. I've so enjoyed talking to you now for the second time. So thanks again for coming on. And I can't wait to be on your show here in a couple weeks.
I am stoked to have you. And it's been my pleasure today entirely. So thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to the show. If today's episode added value to your life in some way, please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share it with someone who needs this. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram and hear how the show has inspired you. So tag me or slide into the DMs. Find me at Corporate Dropout Official or Alacia Citro. That's ALESSIACITRO and 2 underscores. Until next time, remember that you're a badass. Stay focused, stay hungry, and dare to drop out.